Hello, and thank you for stopping by Ed's Gunsmithing today. I had a friend from work come in. He called me on the phone this morning. He needed to bring his pistol over because he had a stuck round. The chamber wouldn't fully close, so everything was out of battery. And he brought it over, and basically he was shooting some hand-load ammunition from a third party, a guy at work, another guy, and he was having issues. So he brought it in, and I'm like, don't use that stuff anymore. And I've just spent the past hour and a half or so tearing apart, disassembling these loaded rounds. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there's what's called a kinetic hammer, which has a cap on the back. There's a special insert that the actual rim of the cartridge gets caught on. And you can basically just bang it like a hammer. That's how it works. And so I did all that. I came across some interesting things, and I thought I would bring it to your guys' attention. So as you're hand loading, you want to make sure that things are going to work right. First of all, in order for a bullet and a gun to go boom, the cartridge has to be assembled correctly. In this case, exactly 9mm, you got your bullet. I assume, I can't hear it, but I'm assuming there's powder in there. And then there's a primer. This, on the other hand, is not going to go boom. There's no primer. So as you're hand loading, make sure there's a primer in there. When you pour the powder in and it starts spilling everywhere, that's your first inclination that something is wrong. No primer, no powder, no boom. And something else to watch for as you're setting your primers in is they should be, let's see if I can get that, flush, not sticking up. If they're sticking up, if they're proud of that rim, as the bolt face of whatever you're using comes closed, it will crush that and cause it to detonate prematurely out of battery. As you're looking at it, let's see if I can get this. See, there's a little donut around of light. That means it is not flattened. It is pushed in far enough, because actually when you get them out of the package, they are a little more domed. So make sure it should look like that. It should be flush. Something it shouldn't look like is this. It sticks up proud versus that. And also you can see, I don't know if you can see it on the video, there's a ring of where the primer seater went into the center, and the primer started to cave or cascade over that ram. So that could have exploded right there on your ram, on the press, and that would scare the bejesus out of you. So don't do that either. And let's say you do have a round and you're like, well, are they being sized correctly, or are they big, such as the guy that came in with his rifle, with his pistol? When you put them in, or let me back up, if you don't have an actual gauge like Wilson or whoever makes those to the exact SAMI specs, take your barrel out of your pistol, your rifle, whatever you can, take it, seat it in, and most semi-auto pistols, it'll be seated flush about like this, sometimes a little above the hood, but close. If I put this other one in, and something else too is if it's really good, it should fall out. If not, a little bit of force is okay. This one is awfully high, so something is wrong. If I try to force it in with my fingernail, it's a no-go. if you were to actually get the bolt or the slide to go home on that, it's going to shove it in and it's going to be hard to get back out if you can get it out at all. So you can use like this as your, let me get it, there we go. Use your barrel as a gauge to see whether or not the cartridges are going to be seated or resized correctly. And when they're being resized and crimped, make sure there is a strong enough crimp so that bullet doesn't fall right out as is being shot, because the recoil is going to go this way, and the lead bullet, like a kinetic hammer, is going to want to stay over here. As I was pulling these, I also found three different kind of signs of not enough crimp or too much crimp. This one, there is all the enamel coating that they put on the lead bullet is still there. So that means there was almost no neck crimp. Bad. This one, see if I can show you. There is a little bit of lead on this side, none on that side. That might be okay. The only real way to tell would be if you use your kinetic puller and it just took 1 or 2 smacks to knock it out. Most of the ones I just did today took about 10 hits to actually get the bullets to dislodge. And something else here, oh, I wish I had shown that. There may have been too much, or there may not have been enough belling on the case mouth when it was created. There's a ring of lead built up here from where the case mouth came down, and it was too tight and shoved that lead up. That's bad as well. You can adjust the belling of how big this gets so that the lead bullet can just fall right in. If you're using straight lead like this, you may have to make it bell it enough so it'll go down, 20, 30, 40, 50 thousandths before you have to start putting pressure on it. So keep that in mind. If you guys have any questions, email me at edsgunsmithing@gmail.com. Comment below. If you leave something stupid, I'm not going to respond. So thank you again for stopping by, and have a great day. Something I did forget to say about crimping is if you have an inconsistent crimp, the velocity is going to really change. So if you have a chronograph, you can see your velocity spread being huge. If it's an inconsistent crimp, what happens is the powder doesn't have a consistent time to burn. If the crimp is strong enough, all the powder gets to burn at one time, and poof, same velocity. If it's a loose crimp, that bullet will probably, even at the worst case, get ejected from the case by the primer going off. And then the powder goes, which increases pressure, which can blow up your gun. So always be careful. Follow the recipes that you find. Use multiple books. Be very hesitant to use any directions that you find online. Verify, verify, verify. Check. Look for all the signs that you can for being overpressure, having issues, like sometimes the primer gets pushed out, sometimes you get a weird squib load, sometimes all sorts of little things that can happen. But there's information in the books that you'll read that have the recipes for the loads data you want. You can always use Sierra, Hornady, Lee. I know there's somebody else I'm forgetting. Hodgdon. A lot of the powder companies have the websites that give you load data. Follow what they say. Never go over max, as well as never go below minimum, because the pressures can go too low in the beginning and then it gets sky high and blows something up. So have a great, safe day.